In this tutorial, we're going to take a look at the vertex form of a quadratic equation. It's one of three fairly common forms for a quadratic equation, and this is what vertex form looks like. I'll mention the other two in a moment. And when you're writing vertex form, these a and h and k are numbers, are just some numbers. The a number is called the stretch factor, and its sign also tells you whether the parabola opens up or opens down, so whether it's going to be a minimum or a maximum point. The vertex are these numbers. H is the x-coordinate of the vertex, and the k is the y-coordinate of the vertex. Now you have to pay attention to the sign of the h number in here. Notice this says x minus h, and h is the x-coordinate. Okay, it's not the opposite of h. Okay, I'll talk about that in several examples here. Now the other common forms are the standard form and the factored form. And depending on what you want to know about a parabola, one form is more useful than the other. For example, if you want to know where the vertex is, well, vertex form is the most convenient because there it is right there. The standard form, for example, if you want to know what the y-intercept is, for example, that's the c number. So no additional math needed, it's just whatever c is. If you want to know what the x-intercepts are, then the factor form is most useful because the r and the s are the x-intercepts, or the roots. So a little bit more about vertex form now. So in the first example, we're asked to write the vertex for each. And notice how similar I've made the a and the b. The only difference is this there's either a subtraction sign between the x and the 5 here or an addition. So the vertex, see, x minus h, h is the x-coordinate. Okay, so if it's x minus 5, 5 is the x-coordinate. It's not negative 5. Okay, you don't change the sign of it. So it's x subtract 5, so 5 is the x-coordinate. The 3 would be the y-coordinate. So that's the vertex for this one. Now the second one, in order to really put this, and you won't have to do this next step once you get used to this, but in order to put this in the same form as this, I would change the x plus 5. See, I want a subtraction sign there. I would change it into, see, x plus 5 is the same as x subtract negative 5. Remember, when you take these brackets off, this will turn into an x plus 5. So that's why negative 5 is the x-coordinate and 3 is the y-coordinate. Okay, so when you see a plus in the middle here, you have to think of it as, well, what am I actually subtracting from x here? Okay, so it's actually the opposite of this number. Okay, so it would be negative 5. See right here, it's 5 that you're subtracting from x, so 5 is the x-coordinate. So it's negative 5 you're subtracting from x here, so negative 5 is the x-coordinate. So for example, in this one here, see, it's x plus 3, just like this was x plus 5. So the vertex for this one would be negative 3, comma, and negative 2 is the y-coordinate. Okay, so when you see that plus, it's the opposite sign, because it's actually negative 3 I'd be subtracting from x in the brackets here. Now a little bit about the symmetry of a parabola. So I've graphed, actually, this is the first and last one from the previous page. Okay, we had, see, 5, 3, and negative 3, negative 2 were the vertexes, 5, 3, and negative 3, negative 2. So this is what these two parabolas look like. And I talked a little bit about the stretch number on the last page. For example, see here the a number is negative 4. So notice this one is steeper, and because a is negative, it opens down. Here the a number would be a 1. Okay, it's positive, so it opens up. And it's a fairly small a value, so it's not really steep like this one is. Now, the axis of symmetry is a vertical line that goes through the parabola. It cuts into two equal halves. So for example, if we looked at the left side here, there's the left side. If I reflect that over this line, it becomes this over here. So these are the two halves. If I reflect this in that one, it looks like that. Okay, so the parabola is said to be symmetrical over this axis of symmetry line. For example, in this one here, that's the axis of symmetry line always goes vertically through the vertex. Okay, now the equation of this axis of symmetry is x equals 5. The equation of this one is x equals negative 3. Notice it's x equals whatever the x-coordinate is. See, x equals whatever the x-coordinate is. So that's what the axis of symmetry is. It's a line that cuts the parabola in exactly two equal halves. So if you reflect it, it would look the same. Now, and it's always x equals whatever the x-coordinate. So if you think of the vertex form, it's x equals the h number. Okay, so because h would be 5 here, h should be -3 here. Okay, and this is a common abbreviation for axis symmetry: a capital A and a lowercase o, and then a capital S. So that's, if you see that, that represents axis of symmetry. So last example here has to do 3 things here, right? The coordinates of the vertex, the axis symmetry, and state whether it's a max or min point. So here's the first one. So the vertex would be, now notice this is one with the plus, so it's going to be opposite of the 4, so it would be -4 comma -3. The axis symmetry would be x equals -4, always x equals the h number. And because of the fact that a equals 2, a is positive, that means it opens upwards, so it's a minimum point. This is what the graph looks like. There's the -4 and -3 vertex, and since a is 2, it opens upwards, so that's a minimum point. Minimum point means that it's the lowest possible point on the whole parabola. Okay, if you go from the vertex to the immediate left or the immediate right, you're going up. Okay, so that's the lowest possible point. Now for the second one here, now this one looks a little different because there's no number added or subtracted to the x inside the brackets. So if you want, you can think of it like this. See, x is the same as x minus 0. Okay, so if you don't see a number there like in brackets, then the x coordinate of the vertex is 0. So it's 0 comma, and then the 2 is the y coordinate. The axis symmetry would be x equals 0. Okay, and because of the fact that, see, there's a -1 in front of the x here, so a is negative, so that means that it opens downward, so it's a maximum point. So this is what this one would look like. There's the 0, 2 point on the graph, and since a is -1, it opens downward, so that's a maximum. And that's the end of the tutorial.